Step number 12 is to resend your emails to non-openers. So what you can do when you send out an email, you'll notice in your email platform, it'll usually give you some metrics such as these are the people that clicked on it, these are the people that opened it, these are the people that didn't open it. Now, just because they didn't open it doesn't mean they weren't interested. It's worth resending that email to them, but you can always test a different headline. Thinking of getting the gap between my teeth closed. Not for any kind of aesthetic reason, I don't mind it, I'm not vain enough to do that. But really just because I thought it'd be a good way to store credit cards, and at the moment, it's too wide for one, not wide enough for two, so I'm in a kind of no man's land. And I don't like spending my life in a no man's land. If you want to increase your email click-through rate, then listen up, mes enfants. In this video, we're going to learn exactly how to do that. Now, collecting an email list is one of the best things that you can do for your business because it insulates you against paddies thrown by Google or Facebook. So if your website is ranking really well and you've got loads of traffic, you're thinking, yeah, life is sweet. And then as soon as Google strips away that ranking or something happens, you lose all of that. If you've got an email list, you have a list of people, whether they're customers or leads or prospects, that you can then market to, and no one can take them away. Well, actually, Google's taken a lot of them away through Gmail, but we'll come to that in just a minute. The trouble is, how good is having an email list if people aren't reading and clicking through your emails? It's no secret that our email inboxes have become busier and busier and busier. Whereas we used to be excited when we got an email, I now have 591,000 unread emails and have given up reading the majority of them. Inbox zero is like a really hilarious concept from a bygone age. If you're going to be sending out emails, how do you cut through the noise and get into people's inboxes and into their brains? It's really what we all want to do. So in this video, we're going to look at some of the steps you can take to make your email marketing more effective. Step number 1 is to test your email subject line. Now, your email subject line is a bit like a headline for your email. And there's really two things that are going on at the moment in the world of email subject lines. So what I want you to do is head over to your email. If you're using Gmail, it's perfect for this because it filters it from the primary inbox to the promotions inbox to the social inbox. And what we really want to do, first of all, before we start writing any subject lines, is to get the lay of the land. The best way to do that is absorb yourself in email subject lines. You don't have to spend long on this. You could spend 10 minutes on this. Be the best 10 minutes you spend for your email marketing ever. So what you're going to do is you're going to start in your primary inbox and you're going to have a look at the subject lines that people are using in your primary inbox and keep an eye on what's making you interested in clicking on their emails. So usually you will see something in your primary inbox where there's a very benefits-driven email subject line. So something like this one here, how to buy cash flow from day one. That's from a guy who's teaching people on how to buy businesses. Here's one from Ty Lopez. You gotta love Ty Lopez. Writes a good email, my man Ty. He says how to think big and grow richer. Kind of playing there on think and grow rich, which is something that might trigger for his audience. Pretty good headline. One from Amazon, arriving today, and then your order name. So these are compelling headlines. So think about, as you're going through your primary inbox, what makes a compelling headline? There's two different types. There's one with a clear benefit, or there's one that strikes curiosity. So we've got one here, how to increase your traffic by writing page titles, right? So that's from Tim at Explosion Ninja. Geez, that guy's a genius. Then what I want you to do is head into your promotions tab, because in your promotions tab, you're going to find the stuff that doesn't get into your main inbox. There can be a few different reasons for this. Basically, Gmail has like an algorithm that decides whether a particular email is spammy or not. But one of the things will be your historic open rate of those emails. So if you don't open emails from someone, they have an increased likelihood of ending up in the promotions tab. Now, when you're in the promotions tab, you'll usually notice two trends. The first is most businesses, particularly large corporates, their email subject lines are boring AF. So let me just read out some of these ones. 5 must ask questions. Okay, wow, I really feel like I need to ask those questions. Lunchtime listening. Don't let these offers drive away. Discover the spring-summer show. Build a new holiday tradition. The October issue is out now. Thought for the day. What to watch. Okay, so what's wrong with all of those? They're completely boring. There's no reason why you would spend your time reading any of those emails because there's no perceived value. They don't arouse curiosity whatsoever. Then you have another type of email, particularly if you subscribe to a lot of internet marketers. And a lot of internet marketers, in a bid to get their emails read, will be turning to curiosity headlines. So things like, here's why I'm doing it for nothing is one of them there. Did you hear? Another one. Final notice. Deadline, all in capitals. Oops, link fixed. Final notice, actually from a different guy. So that's 2 people in one day have used final notice in all capitals as their headline. So this is the kind of internet marketer approach, which until recently was working really well, but now absolutely everyone is doing it. It's losing a bit of its shine. So what are you going to do with your subject lines? Well, here's my advice to you. Unless you're tasked with writing a really boring corporate newsletter, which is never designed for anybody to read, it's a really good idea to include a benefit in the headline. So what's the person going to get? Typically, people want to be healthy, happy, or sexy. So you want some kind of variant of each of those. Let's say that you're offering motorhome insurance, right? How to save on your motorhome insurance might be a great headline for an email subject. Above all, the rule for emails is be interesting, don't be bland. Step number 2 is to format your emails well. Now, there's 2 different types of email that you can send. You can send your plain text emails, which look just like a note from someone who's typed to you, or you can send a richly formatted, beautiful, engaging, luxurious HTML email. Guess which one we found tends to get better click-through rates? Yeah, the text ones, because they read like something that somebody has sent for you. There was an old guy called Gary Halbert in the world of direct response marketing, and Gary Halbert was operational in a time when most marketing wasn't done by email, it was done by post or direct mail. And he said that his customers stood over the waste paper basket, deciding with each piece of mail whether to read it or whether to drop it in. And your goal was to get into the A pile, which is the stuff that gets read, not into the B pile, which is the stuff that we'll kind of get to later if we can, otherwise it's going in the bin. Now, one of the main ways of getting in the A pile was to appear like the sort of people that the customers wanted to hear from. So if I sent you an email from Exposure Ninja which said RE, so regarding catch up, and said, hey Bob, just wanted to find out how things were going, ? Tim, what would you do? Well, it's actually one of the emails that we send out, and it gets a really good engagement rate because it feels personal. It feels like an email that somebody has sent you as a friend. Now, that email can be automated, that's okay, but the fact is it's really difficult to ignore because you're kind of like, is that a personal email from Tim or is it not? I don't really know. So more people reply to that than something like, if you're looking to improve your marketing visibility in 2020, then you need to do this. And then there's a big, beautiful HTML thing, which is all about, you know, all of these different things that have gone on. That's really easy to ignore because it's clearly just a circular. It's basically the equivalent of a direct mail catalog, right? You're just sticking it straight in the bin. It hasn't been sent to you personally. It means nothing. So I'd suggest testing writing your emails as plain text, and the other benefit of writing them as plain text is it's much more easy for the email software to show them properly on different devices. Your emails need to look good on mobile, for example. Step number 3 is to optimize the flow of your content. So think about the state that you're in when you're reading your email. The first thing that you do when you open an email is you're checking, is this good or bad? And then you're looking at the length. Now, if it's a really, really long email, you have to be in the right frame of mind to read that. So there needs to be a hook or some reason up front. If you start your email talking on some long, personal, blah, 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 boring thing about what you've been doing this week, the perceived value goes down and people are less likely to read the full body. Or you can write a shorter email designed to pique their curiosity and then encourage them to click through to a web page where you have video or more information that they can check out. So it's difficult for me to give a specific recommendation without knowing how you communicate with your audience. But my advice would be to keep your emails as short as you can. If you need to convey a lot of information, then it's okay to have a long email. We recently ran a promo where we managed to get about 90k worth of sales sending the world's longest email. I had people write back saying, Tim, I can't be bothered to read this. Send it to me in a video. I had one person say, I can't be bothered to read all of this. Can you just tell me what it's about? Right? But hey, it made 90k. It was super, super long. If you saw that, you'd be like, this is freaking ridiculous. And people say, who's going to read all that? Well, guess what? Buyers do. Right? If you're going to give a bunch of money, then you're going to read all the information. So as long as the information is intriguing and interesting and gives value to the reader, then they can read it. So be interesting. If you're writing a longer piece, it's a good idea to have subheadlines. Those work really well for people that are scanning down the page because they can find the stuff that's most relevant to them or the question that they've got. They can find that, then they can read that bit and then they can continue scanning. And then you'll want a call to action at the bottom of your email, which will be to click through or whatever. Good idea also to have repeated calls to action throughout. Step number 4 is to be yourself. Don't be brandy. It's so easy to go into this kind of corporate speak when you're writing a marketing piece, but actually that's entirely the opposite of what you should do. Go back to the A pile and the B pile. What sort of emails do you read from people? They're not typically the ones that are full of loads of jargon. I remember when we were buying our house and the solicitor would send us an email and it would be so solicitor speaky that you'd need an ice bath afterwards. It was just really, really intense. You kind of need an IV drip of pure glucose just to get through the thing. So write in your personal tone. Don't be all brandy or corporate. It makes it really difficult to read, lacks any personality, and that's not the sort of thing that people generally respond well to in an email. Step number 5 to increasing your email click-through rate is to personalize using names and merge fields. Whilst this is the oldest trick in the book, an email that says "Dear your name" is much more compelling and you'll tend to find gets a higher click-through rate than one that just says "Hi friend." That's why it's a good idea to capture name and email address whenever you're capturing subscribers from your website, because then you can use that name in your follow-up. Now, quick tip here, you want to be very clear to people whether they're giving you their first name or their full name, because if you ask for just name and then they put in their full name, and when you write an email to them you say, "Hi, Tim Cameron Kitchen," you're like, oh, that's super weird, super formal, that's clearly not from a real person, and then it's immediately easy to ignore it. So be clear in your email forms that you just want the first name, or if your email marketing system is clever, then it will just be able to pull out the first name and just use that in your merge fields. Step number 6, this is pretty consistent with any piece of digital marketing, is to use incredibly appealing calls to action. If you want somebody to act and click through an email, there has to be enough of a perceived value for them to do that. Just because you're asking someone to click doesn't mean that that action is free. That person is paying with their time and their energy. You've got to remember, whilst people are on their phones, and if they're checking their emails on their phones, this is particularly important, you're competing against Facebook, right? Where they could click and they could see pictures of their friends' kids and their friends' meals. Or you're competing as Instagram, where they could see pictures of influencers that are much more attractive than you, no offense, wearing very little clothing. So that's what you're competing against with your emails. So if you want someone to spend the time clicking through on your emails, you have to give them a good enough reason to do so. So what's the perceived value of the thing that you're offering? If you're sending them a link to a blog post or a video, for example, you want to give them the benefit that they're going to get from that and tie it into one of their goals: healthy, happy, sexy. Step number 7 is to not use too many calls to action in your email. It's a really tempting mistake to include different CTAs in every paragraph because you just want to give people loads of options for ways that they can engage. We find the most effective way is to limit the number of calls to action that you're using to 1 or 2 and make sure that they are very clearly defined. So for example, if we're writing out an email to promote a video or a podcast that we've done, we'll only link to that. We'll very occasionally link to a couple of different items, but we'll separate them out, give them different headlines to make sure that that is absolutely clear. What you don't want to do is just fill your email with loads of CTAs, because then it's very overwhelming for people. They don't know which one they should click on. They might click on one with another one in mind later on, so they're not fully invested in the one that they've actually clicked on, and you risk just losing and confusing. Step number 8 is to use urgency. It can be tempting for your subscriber to think, oh, that looks interesting, I'll check that out later. Well, the trouble is that their email inbox resembles a waterfall, and unless they do something now, by the time they come back to it, it's going to be completely buried. So ideally, you want to use some sort of urgency, like a countdown or a deadline for something, if it's a legitimate deadline, to encourage them to click on and do the thing now. So live webinars can be great because they need to register now because there's a certain number of slots, or the webinar happens at this particular time, so they need to do it because this is something that has an ending. E-commerce stores and brands like ASOS also do this really well by having a particular day where they're dedicated to giving some sort of offer, so you've got to take action on that day, because if you don't, the thing is gone. Step number 9 is test your calls to action. David Ogilvy once said, never stop testing and your advertising will never stop improving. Keep testing your call to actions, split test. A lot of email marketing platforms allow you to A/B test your emails. So what you can do is send 2 emails to your list, and it'll split the list in half and send 1 email to each and give you comparative click-through rates and open rates of each one. So by doing that, and by doing that for every email that you send out, you begin to get a bit of an understanding of what sorts of things are working. What are the best headlines that you can use? What are the best calls to action? What does your audience love? Step number 10 is keep testing. Step number 11 is to send your emails at the best time. Just because you like to write your emails at 12 o'clock at night doesn't mean that that's the best time for your audience to receive them. Now, some email platforms like Infusionsoft have a function now where you can click send at the best time for this reader. So what happens there is the software monitors what time people are opening their emails, and then will send the email just before that, so it appears at the top of their inbox right at the sort of time when they're opening. So if you can do that, great. Otherwise, again, it's something that you're going to have to test, sending out emails at different times of day and different days of the week to see what gets the best engagement for you. Now, word of warning here, it can be tempting to think that my audience, they're B2B, so they only open their emails Monday to Friday. Worth testing sending on a weekend. So what might be happening is that whilst everyone in the space thinks, yeah, they're only checking emails Monday to Friday, you might be able to sneak in there with a cheeky Saturday morning email that says something like, hey, if you're working on Saturday morning, I feel you. Business is tricky, right? Check this out. So you can kind of play up on that, and also it's a great way of picking out your perfect audience and saying, do you know what, I have real affinity with you. So it's worth testing against the kind of conventional wisdoms, because if everyone else is sending Monday to Friday emails and you're the only one appearing in their inbox between Saturday and Sunday, that could be a good way to break through. Step number 12 is to resend your emails to non-openers. So what you can do when you send out an email, you'll notice in your email platform, it'll usually give you some metrics such as these are the people that clicked on it, these are the people that opened it, these are the people that didn't open it. Now, just because they didn't open it doesn't mean they weren't interested. It's worth resending that email to them, but you can always test a different headline. Now, someone might not have opened your email because they didn't see it, so it might have gone in the promotions tab, or it might have been at a time of day when they don't check their emails, or they might have seen the headline and thought, nah, it's not really for me. So worth testing with just a different headline. You can even use the same email body copy if you like, but just using a different headline to see if that gets through into their consciousness and that encourages them to open. The next step is to filter and segment your email list. So this is a bit more of an advanced thing and requires a bit more kind of preparation. So if you think about most businesses' audiences, their audience isn't really just one type of person. There's a few different cohorts in there. So at Exposure Ninja, we know that we have 2 types of person coming into our world. We have people that are DIYers, they've got time, but they don't have money, and they want to grow their business from a very small level into a medium-sized level. And then we have bigger businesses which have maybe a marketing team. They have more money, but they're very short on time. They want to get their business from a medium level to a very, very large level. Now, the bigger type are our agency clients. The smaller type are much more suited to our training and our consultancy packages. So what we do is we have different email lists, and we'll send email to people based on the answers to the questionnaire in the marketing review form that they submit to us. So if the business says, we're a small business or we have small budget, we'll put them in one list. If they have a larger budget or a larger revenue, we'll put them in another list, because actually the messages that we want to send to each of those different types are completely different. In addition to this, and just to make it slightly more confusing, you're also going to have people that want different volumes of information from you. So some people will take all of the emails that you can. They're the super fans. They want 5 emails a day. If you did 10 a day, they'd have them. There are other people that might not be that into you. They kind of want 1 email every month, which just summarizes all of the stuff that you've been saying. So what you might consider doing is having different email lists for different frequencies of email. And then at the bottom of your emails, when you send them out, you can say prefer fewer emails, click here, or prefer more emails, click here. And then clicking on those links will automatically move them into those lists. Step 14 is to clean your email list every so often. So what you might find over time is that you got a whole bunch of people on your list which aren't really doing anything. They're not really opening your emails. They're not engaging at all. And many of them might not even be potential customers. They might have been from an old evolution of the business or whatever. Now, it can be a good idea to clean your email list, because a lot of email providers will have different servers that they'll send out their emails from depending on open rates and engagement rates. So if you're sending out your emails to a big list where the majority of people really aren't interested, you'll tend to have a lower priority than ones that are sending out your emails to a highly refined and very engaged list. So you want to make sure that your email list is pretty clean. Also good practice for GDPR, everyone's favorite thing, to make sure that you're only contacting people that actually want to receive information from you as well. Step number 15 is to check through old automated emails and refresh them. So we did this fairly recently at Exposure Ninja, where we built out these massive email streams with, dozens of different emails which happen over time based on people's behavioral targeting. And it had been a few years since we wrote some of those emails. So going back through, we realized that actually some of the information was not really relevant anymore. Some of the assets that we were sending people through to didn't exist anymore. So it's a really good opportunity to update all of that, freshen it up, make sure it matches with your brand tone of voice. Good idea to do that at least once per year. So when you're building out these campaign sequences, go through every so often, refresh that list, and make sure your emails are spick and span. So I hope you found this quick stop tour through email marketing interesting. Don't forget, if you want some help with your digital marketing, if you want to generate more leads and sales through your website, that is exactly what Exposure Ninja is here to help you do. Step 1 is to request a free website and marketing review from us. So go to exposureninja.com, click the big old button, and tell us a bit about your business and a bit about your marketing goals. One of our team will then record you a 15-minute video which we'll send over to you, which shows you how to generate more leads and sales through your website over the next 6 to 12 months. It's completely free of charge, and there's no obligation to use our agency services at all. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video and the channel, and leave a comment if there's any topics that you want us to cover in future, or if you've got any hate for me, then you can leave a comment there as well and tag me. Now, if you want to levy some hate at me, then you can find me and Exposure Ninja on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But until the next video, keep disavowing my machine learning algorithm feeding friends.